Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Butterfly Effect podcast. Today we are talking about Lost Records. It's been a while since we spoke about this game, but there has been a new trailer come out called Abyss. It's only a minute long, but they've also revealed the release dates of the game and the fact that we can pre-order it. But before we get into that little discussion, mate, have you got any pointers, anything that you took from the trailer story-wise?
Yeah, I mean, it just reaffirms my whole thought about how it basically is almost slightly like a carbon copy, or they've definitely got inspiration from Stephen King's It, because there is definitely that whole element of them being kids, something goes down, and then leaving town, then having to come back. Super interesting to sort of see that. There are obviously a lot of we'll talk about the elephant in the room. There are some dark sort of material in here. There is an instance where we do see Swan self-harming. Now, obviously, that is a really rough subject to deal with, but I don't know, obviously, for certain people out there, maybe stay away from the game if that is kind of a really harrowing subject for yourself. However, one thing I will say is that I do think that Life is Strange 1, which Don't Nod also wrote, they did handle a lot of those matters, very well, quite sensitively. Particularly if I'm talking scenes around the character Kate Marsh. So I do have every kind of belief and respect that Lost Records will write those well. But yeah, hopefully those sort of themes really kind of add substance to the game and kind of speak about those in a positive light, to help rather than kind of hinder it. If that makes any sense. But yeah, the trailer though, mate, it does look very sort of good, and I do think this is going to be a good game. And we mentioned it, but after the shambles that was Life is Strange Double Exposure, I think the bar is quite low for this game to actually produce a slam dunk here.
It might actually work out in its favour, mightn't it? If after Double Exposure, from what I've seen, there's going to be people out there that like it, but from what I've seen, the general reception is that it low-key tanked. So it's like you say, expectations are low, so I feel like there is probably excitement, being that Don't Nod are the original creators of Life is Strange, and I think it's a first for me as well, the fact that even the trailer starts off with a warning advisory, considering the themes that it's going to go into. And because Life is Strange 1 did stuff on parents break or parental death, there's drugs in there, abuse of alcohol, murder, obviously. Do you know what I mean? They aren't afraid to tackle these things, so it's going to be interesting to see how they go about it. But generally, the shots of the game, the graphics, it looks superb, so I can't wait to get my hands on it. And in terms of getting our hands on it, mate, Tape 1 is releasing on February 18th. And Tape 2 is releasing exactly a month later. So what are your thoughts on that front, that it's a month apart?
You know what, mate? I am a big fan. I think I am. I'm trying to kind of process it, because I've kind of just learned this gap myself. But we spoke about episode gaps, in great lengths. And I think a month is kind of a healthy break, because we spoke about Telltale Walking Dead, season 1 was weaved throughout the whole of 2012, and it took 3 months each for each one to kind of release kind of thing. So and we said that was too much, but equally, I quite like a bit of suspense. I like the fact that we're going to finish Tape 1, there's going to be a massive cliffhanger, and we're going to be able to produce, thoughts and theories in that month gap. I feel maybe 2 weeks would have been a nicer gap potentially, but I can work with a month. I'll take a month. I know a lot of people out there will have that kind of impatient stance, and it's completely fine to sort of want the game, Takes 1 and Take 2 all together. But I'm a strong believer that having them separately and having a tiny substantial gap is actually kind of healthy. It's just the conversation is a month too long. How about yourself, mate?
I'm going to almost refer to Double Exposure, because I actually do think that maybe the best period of Double Exposure was that gap between, for those who ordered the Ultimate Edition anyway, from finishing episode 2 up to the day of release when they could get the rest of the game. Because I think that episodic games like these, they're worth they're due when you get these gaps. So then when I was playing Double Exposure and it didn't have gaps, it didn't strike the same chord as that previous games have done. With this one, look, my usual stance is that, yeah, a month is too long. We've been there before with The Walking Deads, where they've been, 3-4 months long. I think for me, I'm just going to try and channel it differently. We've seen literally in this trailer that it could be quite heavy. So if there are heavy themes, maybe you do need to just take a break for a while. Maybe even 2 weeks is probably too quick of a turnaround. A month is healthy. I think the way I'm going to get round it, mate, is I think I'm going to play the game and then maybe take like a week or 2 from it and then just create another save file and then make all the opposite choices, so that when I then go into episode 2, I've got 2 save files and I can just carry on with the original and then switch over to the other save file for that, just so that I'm not playing it once for a few hours or whatever and then I'm waiting a whole month to go again.
Yeah, that is actually a really good sort of way of doing it. So yeah, maybe I'll have to kind of do the same if I have the time. One thing I want to ask you before we do potentially wrap up, lad, is it does look like we are just getting 2 tapes. With these games, I'm so used to them being like Life is Strange or Telltale Walking Dead, Wolf Among Us, where we are going to get 5 episodes. So part of me just naturally kind of is under the impression we're getting 5 tapes, but it looks like we are only getting 2. So it is kind of short. Does that mean for you, lad, I want to ask what your perfect runtime per episode would be, because I'm thinking if it is a shorter game, will the episodes not have to be at least 6 hours or more to get kind of bang for our buck here?
Oh, wow. I couldn't imagine it being 6 hours an episode. I was in the sort of thinking that it's probably going to be 3 to 4 maximum, depending on how much you explore. It is a little bit of a concern of mine because, a lot of these stories are very driven by the characters. We've been set up 4 characters here. Are they each going to get enough airtime if you're sort of playing with only 3 hours per episode? Presumably the second tape as well is going to factor in a different timeline. So maybe when the girls have grown up, etc. So there are lots of questions about it. I am looking forward to the game. I really do hope they deliver. But yeah, the fact that it's only 2 episodes, I do have a slight worry that they might sort of run out of road before they've really got the chance to show off these characters and not really sort of seed in a decent plot.
Yeah, for sure. It is my biggest concern that the characters aren't going to have enough airtime. But, we'll have to only, wait and see. I'm really looking forward to getting my hands on Lost Records, especially the Ultimate Edition with the cat content. I think it'll be really good.
But yeah, there we go, guys. That was like a quick rundown. We talked about the Abyss trailer and, the release dates and stuff for Lost Records. If you are looking forward to Lost Records, then obviously follow this channel because we're going to be playing the game and have plenty of discussion videos as we do for all the other games as well. Have you got anything else to add, lad?
Not at all, mate. Just thank you very much for joining, guys.
Good stuff. Catch you later, guys.